So, now you know how the phase analysis can be done with the help of XRD, material phase analysis. What do you mean by phase? What do you mean by phase? In crystallography, crystallographic phase means what? Crystallographic phase means the compounds that is involved in the material. For example, if you take, silicon oxide is a compound or element? It is a phase relevant to XRD, right? Any compound is treated to be a phase. Then obviously, if you are telling phase, its structure as well as composition are both important. What are the composition and what is the structure? So, phase means both. You should have to know the structure and also what is the compound, what is the elements present in that compound. That is the phase. Meaning of phase is these are the phases in materials, and you should have to know what kind of elements are involved in that and what is the crystallographic structure, what system it belongs to, right. So, this is a very common and very important. You see why I am telling, because it can exist in 3 different phases. Same silicon oxide is existing in 3 different phases, because the composition is same, 1 silica 2 oxygen, but still phases are different, right. And one of the phase is your glass belongs to same thing, and another is quartz, about that, same thing, silica, and another is crystallobite, crystobvalite. All are different phase having same chemical composition. Chemical composition is silica, 1 atom of silicon and 2 atoms of oxygen, but still their phases are different, and they are named as quartz, crystallobite and glass. And you know the difference, what are the 3 phases, right. Glass is purely amorphous, quartz is purely crystalline, and this crystallobite also crystalline. You see, even if the composition is same, how the phases are different. So, these two are crystalline phase, crystalline, but this is amorphous, it, but the composition is same, silica, SiO2. That means, what you can infer out of these phases, what is the meaning of the phase, you can understand now, right. So, when I am telling quartz, it is crystalline, composition is same, silica, that is silicon and oxygen. Here also same silicon and oxygen, here also same silicon and oxygen. Nothing new elements are involved in any of these 3 phases, same elements, silicon 1 atom and oxygen 2 atoms everywhere, but still one is amorphous, but the other 2 are crystalline. And even if you are telling crystalline, this is different from this, they are not same, both are having 2 different kinds of crystal structure, but crystalline, and it is not crystalline, that is why it is amorphous. Then what does it mean, phase means? What you basically understand about that phase? And if you take a graph or plot, let us say it is 2 theta versus I, how can you distinguish these 3 phases from XRD? If you take the XRD of these 3 phases for the same composition silica, SiO2, then how the plot will look like? You should have to distinguish them, right. If it is glass, how it will look like? If it is quartz, how it will look like? If it is crystallite, how it will look like? And they are totally different phase, means obviously the peak positions are for crystalline, these 2 are never same, that is why they are different phase, right. Peaks are there, no doubt, but the positions are totally different, that is why there are 2 different phases, means the atomic planes are different, lattice parameter is different, everything is different, that means 2 theta values are different, but again they are crystalline. But when you go for this glass, then it is totally amorphous. So, for glass, the plot is like that, there is no peak at all, that indicates it is a amorphous material, but when you tell it is a quartz, then you will get some peaks like this, here is a peak, there are peaks, this is corresponding to quartz, this is glass, So, you see 2 theta value here is here, which is having highest peak intensity corresponding to quartz. But when it is crystal of light, then again it comes somewhere here, but there is a peak. This is crystal of light. So, 3 phases, composition is same, exactly same, no difference, no impurity, nothing, but still phases are different. One is amorphous, other 2 are crystalline, and even though they are crystalline, but they have different structure, because the scale plane for this is never same as this. The dA scale value are also different, therefore, the structure is different and the phase is different. So, even though they have the same composition, but they are having 2 different crystal structures, quartz and crystal light, but glass is totally amorphous, there is no peak at all. So, then now suppose you will take a mixture of all 3 phases, because it may happen if when you are telling I am taking silicon oxide, all 3 phases may be there. There is every chance, you do not know what kind of phase is present in that silica. Suppose you are given some silica sample to do some experiment, but you do not know what phase is available there, whether it is quartz or it is glass or it is crystal of light. All 3 phases may be there simultaneously, but you have to know whether the all 3 phases are there, or only glass phase is there, or only quartz phase is there. But how to know then? When they will combine together, what will the shape of the XRD? You have to go for XRD. If it is a mixture of all 3 phases for the silica, then how the plot will look like? You know the 3 different phases now, right? If you take separately, they will give different peaks if it is crystallite, and amorphous is this one. But when they are combining together, it is a mixture of all 3 phases, right? 3 phases are there simultaneously, then how the XRD plot will look like? It is nothing but the combination of these 3, right? When you combine all 3, you will get the resultant of mixture. Then what is the resultant? If you plot a resultant graph corresponding to the mixture of 3 phases, then how the graph will look like? There is amorphous, 2 different phases of crystalline, but the peak positions are different, right? That means it will go as amorphous, but here is a peak, then again here is a peak, then again it goes like that. Same positions remain same as it is for crystalline, but amorphous phases mixed together. So, here it is totally different, but when they mix together it is a powder of all 3 phases, then the graph will look like this. XRD plot will be like this, because this corresponds to quartz, this corresponds to crystal of light, this corresponds to glass, all 3 together, single plot. So, if this is not there, you can tell quartz is not there. If it is not there, you can tell crystal of light is not there. If this amorphous region is not there, then you can tell only crystalline, because there are 3 variables. You can combine any 2, any 3, possibilities are many, but this plot will tell you what is the mixture, whether it is only crystalline phases or crystalline amorphous, then again which crystalline with which amorphous. Everything will be identified from XRD plot of the mixture. Peak position is there, na? The dA scale value is known, S scale value is known, is dA scale value is known. Peak is telling everything regarding the structure, what kind of S scale planes are there. If you know, it is the structure. S scale will give you dA scale, ABC is clear, everything is clear now. What is the structure? That is the qualitative analysis. You do qualitative, you will know the structure. What is the dA scale value? What is the lattice parameter? Then what more thing you want? That it is crystal of light. It will never same as this peak. So, if that peak is there at that position, obviously it is quartz, cannot be crystal of light. Peak position will tell you what kind of phase is present, whether it is crystal of light or quartz, because quartz can never go there, this can never come here. They will be at their same 2 theta position. 2 theta position will never change. So, when it comes also it will remain same, peak positions are not changing, exactly at same position, but mixed with the amorphous phase. So, it tells all 3 are there. If you are getting only one peak and along with this only one phase and amorphous glass is there. If it is one phase with another, suppose it is crystal of light, it is coming here. If you are going for other, it may be some little bit here. This is also crystal of light and amorphous, but the peak position is clearly distinguished. Which phase is there? That you know from the qualitative analysis. That is role of qualitative analysis. Qualitative will tell you all DA scale, A, B, C, alpha, beta, gamma. Then what more you want? Everything is clear, structure is clear, phase is clear. If you know these things, phase is clear or not. So, crystallobite can never have the same phase as that of quartz. Quartz has different ABC value, crystallobite has different ABC value, different DA scale value, then obviously they are different phase. Although they are crystalline, but they are different phase. But when they mix together, it is the combination. But how they mix up, that depends. Whether quartz is mixing with glass or crystallobite is mixing with glass, or crystallobite quartz together is mixing with glass. With again the intensity will decide with what ratio, how much percentage of quartz is there, how much percentage of crystallobite is there, how much percentage of glass is there. That is again important, because when you go for any mixture, what is the percentage of each phase? How much quartz is there, how much glass is there, how much crystallobite is there. Because that suppose you will combine together, it is just like a mixture, right. If it is different, it is, you can tell it is silica, this is also silica. But all three phases when mixed together, they are having different phase, crystallographic phase, then you can tell this is a compound, but having different phases, right. But when they are having different phases, their behaviors are different. Glass is having different behavior than that of quartz. Quartz is having different behavior than that of crystallobite. Properties are all different. Property of glass is never mixing with quartz or crystallobite. So, property of quartz is different from crystallobite, crystallobite is again different from glass. So, when they will mix together, property will obviously change to give another new compound, but with what percentage you are mixing, that will also control the property. If quartz percentage is changed, what property is changed, in what way it is changed, that you have to see. So, percentage of the material phase is also important, not only knowing the phase, but also knowing the percentage of each phase, how they are combining, what is the percentage of amorphous or glass or quartz or crystallobite, because ultimately that composition is changing the property. Quartz is having different property, crystallobite is having different property, again glass is having different property, all properties are different, but when they will mix together, their properties again different, like composites, it is just like composite. Composite, what happened? You are taking a matrix having different property, reinforcement having different property, but when they mix together, total new property, and that again depends what is the percentage of reinforcement and what is the percentage of matrix. If percentage is different, composition is different, composites are different, different properties are there. And similarly here also, if you change the percentage of phase, property will obviously change. So, which phase is responsible for what property, that you have to decide and tell. If this much phase, this percentage of phase is present, then this goes for this property. If I will modify the phase percentage, how the property is modifying. But you should have to understand what is the phase for first, but how that percentage is, you can get it from the intensity height. Intensity height will tell you what is the percent of that phase. So, that is why there is a formula that is called as relative intensity ratio, RIR, right, RIR, relative intensity ratio, that will tell you what is the percentage of each phase present in the mixture, right. That means what to do, you take simply quartz, you will get a peak, right. When you take quartz, it will give you a peak, and peak height is measurable, what is the intensity, right. So, now if you mix them together, the height will definitely reduce, the height will reduce. So, then why it is reducing? Because it is not 100%, right. If 100% quartz is there, it goes for this height, but when it is mixed together, other phases are coming into picture, the height can never go to that height, means that indicates some other phases are there, right. Then you compare, this is the 100%, when it comes to this height, what is the percentage, how much percentage of that phase is present. So, that is called as relative intensity ratio. In pure, you take the intensity, then mix together, measure the intensity, find the ratio, multiply by 100, that is the percentage, right. Suppose for example, here the I is IH, here the height comes to IH1, then what is the ratio? IH1 divided by IH multiplied by 100. That will tell you the percentage of that phase. So, this intensity carries lot many information, but you have to understand and collect it. It will tell you about the percentage of phase present in there, whether it is a single phase or multi phase like this. If more than one phase is also there with the same composition, still it can tell. So, all those informations are there in this intensity. So, you have to understand very carefully that intensity part, right. All the informations are there only, whether it is a single phase or multi phase. If the phases are different again, whether the same kind of material or different kind of material, like here the material is same or different, the composition is same or different, the composition is same, silica, but phases are different. So, that is also a multi phase system, it is not a single phase. But if you take only quartz, single phase, only glass, single phase, only crystal light, single phase, but more than one is multi phase, may it be 2 phase, 3 phase, 5 phase, 10 phase, whatever number of phases. There are compounds which are having 100 phases, but you have to know what are the phases present there, right. So, therefore, the material characterization involves all those things. You should have to understand what is the phase and whether it is single or multiple or multi-phase system, right. Multi-phase means more than one. If it is more than one phase, may it be same composition, may not be, does not matter, but if the phase is different, it is multi-phase. You can tell quartz and crystal light are different phases. So, when they are together, it is not single phase, but it is multi-phase. You can tell 2 phase. If 3 are together, 3 phase. So, if it is more than one, it is multi-phase, or accordingly you can name whether it is 2 phase, 3 phase, 4 phase, 5 phase, 10 phase. How many number of phases are there? But you have to see from this intensity graph only, that will tell you whether it is single phase or multiple phase, more than one phase is there. And again, what is the percentage of each phase present in that composition. Like that many, you see iron, you know about iron. Iron is having different allotropy forms or not. When you collect the iron from the mines, are they in same phase or different phase? Iron oxide is generally ore, right. Ore collected from the mines is iron oxide, but that iron again is having same phase or different phases? Different phases. That means crystallographic phases are different. That is why it is called as alpha iron, beta iron. What does it mean? Because their crystallographic structures are different. So, even if you are telling it is iron oxide Fe2O3, but you do not know whether alpha phase is there or beta phase is there, right. So, depending on that you can measure the quality, or you can tell what quality of ore is good, whether alpha phase is good or beta phase is good. So, accordingly the mines are characterized, this mine is giving good quality iron ore. So, everything depends on this phase, but you have to identify what kind of phase is present there, and everything is done only by this XRD. So, you see XRD is now helping in, you tell me a material which cannot be characterized by XRD, any material except it is liquid and gas. If it is liquid and gas, it cannot, but if it is solid, everything, right, everything can be characterized. That is why it is the signature. For any material characterization, first one has to go for XRD, whether it is amorphous or crystalline. If crystalline, what kind of phases are present there, and if it is a multi-phase, then what is the percentage of each phase present there. So, all those informations are carried here. So, therefore, when you are doing the experiment, one should be very, very careful, right, because unless you are collecting the data reliably, there is every chance all the informations may be wrong, and that leads to wrong prediction, which is very bad. You are going to characterize some material, but the data collection is wrong, and you are telling that this phase is present that much percentage. It should not happen. So, when you are going for characterizing, everything should be go in proper way, so that the data are reliable and your characterization is good enough. Everybody will accept it, otherwise nobody will accept it. How you have analyzed your XRD data? But data is separate question. First is collection. Whether data collection is going properly or not, all the suitable conditions are maintained or not. If not, then the data is erratic, analysis will be obviously erratic, and its characterization is obviously with errors, there is no doubt. So, that therefore, from the beginning you should be very careful. From the experimental part for XRD, you should take care for everything. What should be the intensity of the source, what is the size of the powder, all those things are coming into intensity. So, therefore, intensity should be collected properly, otherwise there is every possibility that you are losing the information about the structure. It is helping, but helping if you do it properly, right. No doubt it is helping, provided if you are doing or following the proper procedure before doing the experiment. So, that way you can tell how the phase analysis are done with the help of XRD, and that again percentage. There are various methods by which you can calculate the percentage of, and again you see when I told, we know now the difference between stress and strain, that part I told you, stress and strain, and that stress and strain is changing the crystal structure or remaining same. It will change, right, it will change. So, even if suppose for example, there is a system, let us say iron oxide is there Fe2O3 and that carries alpha iron, but you do not know, by getting some heat energy from the external source it may go to the beta phase, but you have to confirm what kind of phase is present there, because you see this ore is remaining inside the soil and soil is influenced all the time by different kinds of forces, naturally, artificially, right. When there it is there in the mine, various kinds of force are coming into picture, including gravitational, which is natural, right. At the same time, many other forces are also coming into picture, because over the surface many vehicles are going with heavy load, and that ultimately disturbs the status of that ore present inside it, because little bit of pressure will modify its phase, because stress and strains are different. So, when mining is done, first you have to see what kind of phase is present there, and you should have to take proper care when it is digging out. In between, if any pressure is coming, any temperature modification is there, then obviously the phase may change, there is every possibility. And so, why the ore is important? The best ore means what? What do you mean by best ore? Let us say iron ore used for the steel plant. How can you decide which is the best ore? Concentration as well as phase, not only concentration as well as phase, right. Alpha phase is the best one, then the other phases present in iron. That is why ores are graded, you know, coal is graded, Indian coal is never good, everybody knows in the world. Why? Indian coal is never good, it is graded in international level. How they know it is not good? For what purpose? Because the quality of coal is responsible for, it is a fuel, it gives us energy, when it is burned it gives us energy, right. But in the burning process few things are involved there. When it burns, the most important part is the void, dimension of the void, shape, size, structure, all three, shape of the void, surface of the void and size of the void, that controls the quality of coal, right. And Indian coal are, that is why having very bad quality, it is never used for industries, it may be used for cooking, but never for the industrial purpose. That is why the coals are coming imported from Australia or some other countries. So, our Indian coal is that is why bad, although it is a fuel, but it is not that good quality for going for industrial application, because you see blast furnace, how much heat energy it requires. If the coal is not of that good quality, then you have to spend a lot of money to get that much amount of energy. It relates to cost directly, but at the same time transport another factor. When you brought it from Australia, it will charge more. but they have to do to maintain their standard. Otherwise, the steel will be never good and nobody will purchase it. So, lot many factors are coming when the product is coming from the industry. Coal plays their role, ore plays their role, everything is involved. So, when the output is coming, then lot many factors are involved there and you have to control each and every factor for a good quality material coming from the industry. Each and every factor like coal, iron ore and the other factors involved in processing the steel. So, therefore, you have to understand actually what are the phases and in what phase you are having the good quality. That is why you are telling this quality is good, this quality coal is good, but how can you know whether the quality of coal is good or bad? It relates to this void dimension. If you can find, you can tell which is good and which is bad. And the ash content is another factor. How much ash is there in the coal? Because if ash content is more, percentage is more, it is never a good quality and Indian coals are having that. Ash content is more in comparison to other coals. So, Indian coal is only used for cooking purpose to give us fuel, utilized as a fuel, but not for industrial applications, right. Because if you take this, if you burn 1000 tons, whatever energy you will get, if you use the imported coals within 100 kg, you will get the same thing, right. You compare by 1000 tons, whatever energy you will get for heating, if it is good quality coal within 1 quintal, that much amount of heat energy can be generated. That is the quality of coal. So, you have to take care of that quality. So, therefore, many things are involved. When some product is coming from any industry, you should have to start from where the what is the primary things that is coming into industry, like iron ore is coming in steel plant, coal is coming in steel plant, limestone is coming in steel plant, many more things are coming into picture and you have to qualify, you have to judge their quality properly in order to have a good quality steel, because they are the input. So, unless you see the input quality, how do you expect the better quality in the output? So, the input should be good enough with all good qualities, then obviously, the output will be also having good quality, and that is why steels are also graded. Which steel is best for what purpose? Again, because steels are used in various purposes, but for different purposes different quality of steels are required. But like for example, defense, the Rourkela steel plant is the best one, because they produce the steel in that way which can be utilized in defense, but other steel plant across the country will never be utilized for the defense purpose. Then what is the difference there? The same quality. That grade steel can never be used for other purposes, it is only meant for defense. So, whenever there is defense application, they ask for the steel from Rourkela steel plant, because they maintain that standard. If they will not maintain, they will not come to them. So, in that way all the steel plants, all the industries are graded on the basis of quality, because quality matters. Quality is directly involved with the price. If the quality is good, whatever price it may go, but everybody is interested to take it, but if the quality is bad, nobody will come to you. So, always that is why every industry has a quality control unit. Before going to market, they will check the quality. If it is not good, better reject them, do not send it to the market, because ultimately they will be blamed. If the quality is not good, they will be blamed. So, that is why there is a quality control unit in every industry. Each and every industry, they will certify, yes, the quality going to the market is good enough. If not, it will be rejected in the industry itself. And that quality control is a part of this type of analysis one has to do, right. If you go to Rourkela steel plant, they have maybe more than 10, 11 X-ray units. And why they are going for? Because they have to check element wise, if iron, what is the percentage of iron, that percentage of iron is, how much percentage of iron is there, how much percent of oxygen is there, what is the phase coming into picture, everything they have to analyze to go for the steel characterization. So, there are XRD units, there are XRF units, this is XR diffraction, this is fluorescence, then like GI SAX is also there. For different characterization techniques, different sources are there, and they are going to do it to check the quality, right, because quality control is the most important part of any industry. So, unless they check the quality, the industry may shut down after few years or months. So, that is why it is very important component of any industry. Whatever material may come out from the industry, but they have to verify and check whether the quality of the material is good or bad. If bad, reject, do not send it to market. If good, then send it to the market. Right. In that way, all the industry, whatever industry, it may be cement industry, it may be steel industry, it may be textile industry, all the industries existing in the world. So, most important component is the quality control. They have to control the quality, because ultimately industry gives us products, but that product will be useless unless they have certain properties. So, they have to, the quality control unit has to check whether it has the requisite property to be used by the people or not. That is a quality control cell of the industry. They will control the quality. If not, then they will think where is the change, why it is coming, then they will again try and to get back the property that they require. But unless they verify, how will they know whether the quality is good or bad? And that is the job of the quality control unit. Every industry is having that, right. So, this is about the intensity part, how important the intensity you can understand now, right. XRD intensity carries what kind of information for characterizing a material. Then similarly, when I told about the, you know the difference now, what is XRD and SAX, right. What is the basic difference? How can you distinguish these two in terms of intensities? In terms of intensity, I am telling, because there is 2 theta, here is also 2 theta, right. When you take a XRD, here is S, here is intensity. S is same 2 theta, it is a function of 2 theta, right. But how can you tell whether it is small angle scattering or wide angle scattering? Looking the pattern, can you justify that this is small angle, that is wide angle? Simply a pattern will be given to you. Looking the pattern, can you tell whether it is XRD or small angle X scattering? You know both intensity pattern for small angle, intensity pattern for wide angle. Wide angle is XRD, which starts from 5 degree onwards. XRD means 5 degree onwards, and small angle means within 5 degree. But how to know? For example, if the graph, let us say this is 5 degree boundary, and here you are taking some material, it goes this way, but when it comes here, again it comes like this. Then what kind of phases are present? What kind of material you are expecting there? You are taking one material and gives both small angle and wide angle together. There are instruments that can give you both simultaneously, right. And this is the pattern. Small angle is there less than 5 degree, wide angle is also there more than 5 degree, right. So, there are some scattering in low angle also, right, that will help you to characterize the shape, size, surface, all those things relevant to the nano-order structure. If you want nano-order structure in the material, then you have to go for small angle, there is no alternative way out. And this part, rest part will tell you the crystallographic analysis, what kind of crystal structure is there, right. Because you see, when you are thinking about a crystal, no crystal is never perfect, remember it. Ideal crystal is just impossible. Do not expect that I will get an ideal crystal, it is just impossible, right. So, that is why crystal means you understand it is real crystal, never ideal, like ideal gas is never feasible, all the gases are real gas only. Ideal means theoretical, and no crystal is never ideal, right. That is why do not use the word perfect crystal, it is meaningless, nobody will believe it. No crystal is never perfect, that word itself is very wrong in crystallography, right. So, when you are telling that there is a crystal having structure, let us say cubic, but you do not know what, because every system is having some defects. That is why telling no system is ideal, right. Even though it is cubic, but still you cannot tell it is perfect cubic. What do you mean by perfect then? Means there are some defects, right. If it is not perfect, then there is some defect. Percentage of defect may vary, but there must be some defect, right. Percentage of defect may go from 0.1, may go to 0.2, may go to 1, may go to 5, may go to 10, but everywhere there is defects. Various kinds of defects are coming into picture, and that defect change the property, right. That defect will change the property. So, you are telling, you are judging that it is a cubic, let us say BCC, it should have this property, but you are never analyzing the defect present there. So, then how do you expect that property will be there, right. BCC structure is possessing some property, but the crystal that you are having is not perfect BCC, right. It is not perfect BCC. There are some defects, and because of those defects the property will change. So, you are expecting some property and telling that it do not have that property, means you should understand that there must be some kind of defect in the structure. That is why the property is not matching. So, you have to analyze what kind of defect is there and how can you do best to reduce the defects. So, the material quality will be good enough, right. So, therefore, when you are telling crystal, do not feel that it is an ideal crystal. No crystal is never perfect, never ideal. All crystals are having defects, but the percentage of defect varies, right. The percentage of defect varies, but all crystals are having defects. Defects means various kinds of defects are there, but ultimately all crystals are having defects. So, you have to identify what kind of defect and how to neutralize it, because defect controls the property everywhere, including superconductivity. Superconductivity is a property originated out of defects, right. So, those defects are also creating problem everywhere in all materials, everywhere. So, you should have to take care of those defects, what kind of defect and how can you control them for better property. Changing crystallographic structure to change the property is very tough job, but changing the defects it is very easy, right. But you should have to know first what kind of defects are there, where are the defects, how can I change the defect orientation, position, so that the property will be different. So, these are the few things that you have to know. And yes, why I am telling those things, when you are telling XRD and small angle axis scattering, the major difference is angle, right, when it is less than 5 degree. And but one thing you remember, small angle is never a sharp peak, it never contains, right. It is a diffusing scattering curve. Diffusing means with angle intensity all the time falls, but in wide angle it may fall, rise, peaks are there. That is a major difference between wide angle and small angle. So, because to develop any theory you need some postulations, assumptions, right. So, the assumptions include this also. This is a diffuse scattering, but this is a sharp scattering, wide angle, right. And the another factor is if you go for the equation, you know Fraunhofer and Fresnel's diffraction. XRD belongs to what kind of diffraction? Fresnel or Fraunhofer, because it is a diffraction, but what kind of diffraction? Fresnel type or Fraunhofer type? You know the difference between them or not? When it is Fresnel type and it is Fraunhofer type? The grating is Fraunhofer or Fresnel that you are doing in the laboratory? The grating experiment is a Fraunhofer type or Fresnel's type of diffraction? It is a Fraunhofer's type of diffraction, and it depends if the grating to detector's distance is at infinite extent, right. If this distance is infinite, then or you can tell source to detector distance is infinite, then it is Fraunhofer type, right. What is the role of a collimator? What is the role of a collimator? Parallel means from where it comes, infinite. Although it is very close, but it comes from the infinite, that is why collimators are there, right. So, either it may come from infinity or you make some arrangement to get the source from infinity. So, it was done there, that is the arrangement called as collimator. Collimator does that job. The source is very close, but it will behave that it comes from infinite, and when it is infinite, the type of diffraction is Fraunhofer, right. The type of diffraction part means if you are using parallel beam, obviously it is Fraunhofer type of diffraction, right. Whether you can arrange it or you can directly get it, does not matter, but once it is having parallel beam, then that kind of diffraction pattern is Fraunhofer's type of diffraction, and the small angle also, wide angle also, all are same type, Fraunhofer's. These are the assumptions, right. All are, because they are taking parallel beam, maybe XRD, maybe small angle, all the time you are using parallel beam. Parallel beam means it goes for Fraunhofer type of diffraction, right. So, similarly, the other postulates may go another form. What is the scattering from the electron? How can you write the equation for electron scattering? You know, I E equal to E square divided by m c square whole square, then I 1 plus cos square 2 theta, cos square 2 theta divided by 2 a square from a single electron. You might have read it in Thomson's formula, right, how the electron scatters. It is I means intensity due to a single electron, I E, right. And what is this factor? It is the Thomson's factor T, all are constant, and its value is how much? It is 7.90 in 10 to the power minus 2. Then this I is the incident intensity, how much intensity is incidented, photon intensity, and this is the polarization factor, and A the distance from sample to detector, A, right. So, now if it is small angle, then what about this factor? 1, right. For small angle theta is small, then obviously that factor is going to 1. Then ultimately the electron scattering I E will be equal to how much? It is T I divided by a square. This is the intensity due to a single electron for small angle. So, that is an assumption, right. Because small angle, that is why you are taking this is 1, otherwise it cannot be, polarization factor is there, right. So, similarly, it is diffuse scattering. Then another Babinet's reciprocity principle you might have learned in refraction, Babinet's reciprocity principle, because that relates to contrast. But what basically it tells, suppose here is material, here is a void, then this is electron density 1, this is electron density 2, the contrast is what? Eta 1 difference eta 2 or not. So, if I will replace this as matter and resting are void, the contrast is same or different? Same. That is the Babinet's reciprocity principle, whether there may be matter or void does not matter, because you are referring to contrast. What is the electron density difference? That is also assumption. So, Babinet's reciprocity principle is applicable here in small angle X scattering. Then total reflection and polarizations are neglected, then total internal absorption and multiple scatterings are also neglected. Multiple scattering means first it come and scatter, then again it go and scatter, again go and scatter, that things are not accepted here in small angle. So, although it is there, but they are neglected, right. Similarly, internal absorption also, if material is incidented, X-ray photon incidented, you are assuming that no photon is absorbed, right, nothing is absorbed, and there is no multiple scattering. It gets just one scattering, then gives for the intensity, scattered intensity. Similarly, Fraunhofer diffraction that I told, and another is very important, ideal and non-ideal, that word is very important everywhere, ideal and non-ideal system, two phase. You know now two phase. Two phase means with respect to what? Two phase means what? Electron density. For scattering, what are the two phases? X-ray. Electron density are the two phase, right. So, for example, if here is a phase, here is another phase, let it be eta 1, and this is eta 2, then what happens? You can tell this is ideal system. One phase to another phase, sudden jump of electron may be there, transition, right. If this thing happens, you can tell it is an ideal system, ideal two phase, but never no system is ideal, because the ideal word itself is very wrong concept in experiments everywhere, like ideal gas, ideal phase, ideal crystal. The ideal word itself is theoretical, never practical, never utilized in experiments. And similarly, when you take a two phase system, that means here is a level and here is a level, but transition goes in this way over this distance. So, this type of representation eta 1, eta 2, you see this is the width of transition layer, over that length the transition will take place, and this happens for non-ideal two phase system. That concept is accepted in small angle X-ray scattering. Never the system is ideal two phase, rather it is non-ideal two phase. And this also measures, suppose here is a matter, here is void, then what is the width of transition, with over what width the electron density varies, that is called the width of transition layer, this E, and that measures the roughness of the boundary, phase boundary, matter and void boundary, how much rough the boundary is. So, if it is non-ideal, then there is some value, but if it is ideal, E equal to how much? 0, and no system is never perfect ideal, right. No system is never perfect ideal, all the time they are non-ideal, and once it is non-ideal, there must be some roughness at the phase boundary. So, these are few assumptions that one has to consider before going to derive any theory. Like that, small angle X-ray theory is developed on the basis of those assumptions or postulates.